Hey everybody, it's Jillian. Uh, so yesterday my husband came home. He's like, I'm gonna take a personal day. So he was feeling really tired, and I can only imagine the amount of viral energy out there. It really, I'm sure, taxes him. So that's why I make sure I keep him fed and I keep him well rested if he allows me to, and I keep him well hydrated. Okay. So I know there's a lot of viruses out there swirling around. I can feel it. My dog feels it. Yesterday, I made some cabbage 'cause I had some cabbage, half a head of cabbage that I needed to cook. So I cut it up and put some potatoes and some sausage stuff and onions and a little bit of Worcestershire sauce and butter and fried it up. And I ate it. And like right afterwards, I just felt I started coughing, like coughing. And my nose is running and it was like the weirdest thing. It was like, and I could feel the deep cough, like when I had the COVID a couple weeks ago or a month ago or so. I felt the deep cough. So I knew I trained my first lines of defense to expel anything that needed to be expelled. And my body wasn't holding on to it. I was spitting too, like spitting just like all this mucus stuff, right? And it wasn't like super bad, but it was like, it was noticeable. And so I'm like, oh, interesting. Now, we know that viruses, they are little landmines. They're also little pieces of data. They're information. They can't float around alone. They're always in some kind of a host, and a host could be a pollen particle, a dust particle. It could be some kind of biological tissue or something. It could be in spittle. It could be in water. I mean, viruses are like they hitch on the back of anything that is moving, and so and if they are on surfaces in like water, then they last for a certain amount of time. And so viruses are everywhere in the environment and they lay little landmines in you. And so I know that me going outside, hanging out with my dog, she goes outside too. My husband is in every neighborhood all over, the area that we live in. And so he picks up stuff all the time and he brings it home. And hey, my dog, I can see my dog react to him sometimes because his viral energy, it's very strong. Okay, it's all thermodynamics. It's energy and it's heat. And so sometimes those landmines get laid, but they don't germinate. They don't trigger. And why don't they trigger? It just depends. I mean, that's why you don't know out there when you go out there and you have if you don't have a lot of substance to you and you have all these little landmines of viruses in your body and you don't know when they're going to trigger. Well, what would trigger them? Food, water, air, other viruses, any type of activity. All viruses get triggered by something. And so when people pass away or when they get some kind of like heart attack or stroke, it's because they have the viral energy in their body that got triggered by something. And it could be triggered by another virus in the body. Food can trigger. So that's what triggered, I think in my end, with the feeling of the symptoms, viruses, the virus triggered, the food triggered it because cabbage is very strong. It's highly like nutritious and my body was recoding because I had a lot of mucus. And so that's what we have to understand is that every single symptom out there is viral related. It's triggered by everything in your environment. Everything is piezoelectric. Everything is, like everything. And so if you understand the laws of motion and understand the laws of thermodynamics, what's at rest stays at rest. What's in motion stays in motion. This is like Newton's law. For every action, there's equal opposite reaction. You eat something, you have something in you, and your body is doing whatever it's doing. You eat something that triggers a reaction, a chemical reaction. And then force equals mass times acceleration. What is a force? It's mass, the mass of some object times the acceleration of it. And so you have energy in your body that's causing a force in your body, and viruses abide by the laws of physics and the thermodynamics. What's the thermodynamics? The laws of thermodynamics. The first law is, what is it? Energy cannot be created or destroyed, only converted. Okay. And the second law is, what is the second law? This is the hardest one. Oh yeah. Constant transfer of energy and transformation of energy. You get a lot of wasted energy. So in the body, yes, is when you're not taking in and keeping substance on your body, and you're exposed to all these viruses, and you're taking the antibiotics and taking all the things that are stopping your symptoms, you are now wasting the energy, because the energy is still going to do what it's going to do. That's what the whole thing with the therapeutics and not getting the therapeutics, there's still energy out there. And when you're constantly going through symptoms or suppressing symptoms, okay, and then every single time you go through an energy and you suppress it, that's still energy being used, and it's being wasted unless you are bringing in energy like a covalent bonding to then replace that energy that's being used up. And that's what the whole thing with cancer is, right? It's cancer is you don't have enough of the substance of the predominant viral programming to then offset that cancerous programming. And so that cancerous program is now usurping all the energy in the environment, and there's not leaving anything for you to try to fight or utilize or adapt to. Okay? And so that's like the second law of thermodynamics, is wasted energy. And that's what activism is. That's what when people go out there and do stuff and yell and scream and they get no return on that. That's basically the second law of thermodynamics. They're wasted energy. And so when someone drinks coffee and they don't eat meat, wasted energy, because you're triggering your adrenals to release the adrenaline to help your body wake up. But if you're not replacing those hormones with the meat and the milk and the cheese and all the different bioengineered foods, then you're wasting energy. That's entropy. And that's what the aging process is. It's entropy. It's wasted energy. You're constantly transforming and in our society and transferring energy all the time, doing a lot of stuff, and you're not replacing that energy that's being used. And so the third law is in a cured state, but you can't really be in a cured state too long in a dynamic environment. Like I said, everything's working against you. So yesterday, I triggered some kind of viral landmine in my body, and I had the strength to deal with it. I just coughed it out. Imagine a person who weighs 20 pounds or whatever, and they have weak hearts and weak lungs and weak brain or weak circular system and weak nervous system. That viral energy would start then working against them. They don't have enough substance or insulation to absorb the energy and then release whatever recoding was going on. So right now I kind of feel like I didn't drink any coffee this morning. I just slept all freaking day today, like all day. After I released all of that stuff, then I'm like, okay, my husband was tired too. I let him sleep in till 12:30, and he doesn't sleep until 12. He is up every day at 3 or 4 in the morning, and he works 15-hour freaking days, and he's out there in the sun, in the cold, in the rain. He's built for this freaking environment. Not that he's not like he's Superman and he's invincible. No. So I make sure I keep track of everything that's going on with him to make sure that he's okay, because yes, he is my best investment, as well as I am too. And so, he slept in till 12:30, and he needed to, because he needs to rest. Those that do not rest will not repair. When you're burning the candle at both ends, you are going to destroy yourself. So I remember my mom used to wake us up at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, and even on a Saturday, we couldn't sleep in past 8 o'clock. It was that would be blasphemy in our household. Everything's about being productive until you freaking deplete. And she still holds that thought process today. I'm sure she's up every day so early. And sometimes I am. Yesterday I was up hella early, at 4 in the morning. I was working, and then my body was like, okay, now I'm tired around 2 o'clock. And then I stop and I rest. Okay? And so when you're not chasing after money and you don't owe everybody and their mother, you'll have that luxury to be able to rest when you choose to. When you're forced to get up every day at a certain time because you have to work so many hours, I understand getting up every day, and that's fine. But it's the amount of hours and the amount of time that you're putting into somebody else. If you're putting something into yourself, that's great. You'll give a return to yourself. But you don't, because if you're making money and the money is not giving you time to rest, then what's the point of making money? See, that's the whole thing, is you can't eat money. You can't rest with money, because money never sleeps. That's the thing with Wall Street. Money never sleeps. Okay? And if money never sleeps, how the hell are you going to keep going if money never sleeps? And so thank God I never made a lot of money throughout my whole life, because when you start making a lot of money, that is like a virus. That is like an addiction. And when you have an addiction to something like that, then you're not going to allow your body to rest. Because then you think, you think about all the missed out, pieces of money that you could be earning And then what is that going to do? It's going to buy you, I don't know, how much more do you need when you think about it? How many more toys do you want? I mean, are you feeding like bottomless pits in the world that you live in? And so that's what you have to really understand is rest is so paramount. And when someone is very highly ambitious that wants to make a lot of money, rest, there's no rest for the weary. Sleep when you're dead. I mean, that's the bullshit that's out there. And I'm telling you, you can balance it all out. Okay? You can, I mean, you're getting paid more nowadays at freaking minimum wage. You're getting paid $15 an hour. Work your 8 hours, make your $15 an hour, and scale down your freaking lifestyle. Learn how to balance out, what you want, what you need, and what you need to do. So anyways, I just wanted to let you know that yesterday, I think today, I just slept like all day. I got up at 4, made dinner. I have still a little bit of a headache in the back of my head, not major, but I still feel but I felt better after I ate and spit out more stuff. So viruses will trigger, and you won't know when they trigger. That's why it's so crazy. It won't matter if you're vaxxed or not. The landmines are being laid. And even when the landmines are being laid and you have a programming in your system that you haven't fully owned, then that programming is still going to do the thermodynamics in your system even when you don't feel it. And when you do feel it, you're like, oh, okay, and you might feel something. Not a lot, but you might feel something. But that stuff is like when someone is type A and type B, blood type A, blood type B, antigen, surface marker antigen A and surface marker antigen B, it's conflicting viral programming. It's still, it's still doing stuff. Even though you're at rest, there's a lot of activity in your body when you're type A and type B, even in type O as well. And so just because you're at rest doesn't mean that your body's at rest, because it's still respirating. It's still sending off messages to go and create antibodies. Agonist antibodies and antagonist antibodies. And agonist antibodies are building up growth. Antagonist is enforcing the blueprint, which is taking away, attacking, dissolving, apoptosis, autophagy. Okay? And then every time you eat and every time you drink and you breathe and you go off, do something, you walk from point A to point B, someone talks to you, you get on Facebook and get all your, now you're firing off cylinders. Now you're firing off electrical impulses that are also going to work for you or against you relative to how you've taken care of your body. And so that's why people die just like that. And they die sometimes in the morning because of the amount of electricity going on overnight when the body is repairing. So when people are like, oh yeah, they died peacefully in their sleep, I doubt it was very peaceful during the night when the body was trying to repair and there was nothing in the reserves. When the larder is empty. That's what goes on when someone dies in their sleep. So that's why you don't want to be worried about all the different societal constructs as far as weight. You need to bring on that weight, women and men. Not too much and not too little. You don't want to starve yourself and you don't want to overdo it. But then if you won't overdo it if you're bringing in the right nutrients. And salt is that balancing force to make sure that the covalent bonding isn't too numerous. And then you have the sugar and the fats and the carbs and all that to add in more of the substance to you. So you don't look like there's nothing to you. And then you can handle this highly electric environment because it really is. All right. Have a good day. Bye.